Hey guys, welcome to a very nice game of the Grand Chess Tour Finals, and this finals has been conducted in London. This is the second round and we still have the classical games that are being played. This game is played between Levon Aronian and Liren, and I have some photos, and all these photos have been captured by the wonderful cameramen that work for Grand Chess Tour. So thank you so much for providing all the photos, and they are also available on their official site, which is where these photos are taken from. This is an interesting picture of a young kid making the first move. Look how serious he is. And this is just Maxime and this kid. Look at their smiles. It's pretty amazing. And this kid is very lucky. Look at Ding Liren in the background. He's also smiling, looking at everything that's going on. So it's pretty interesting, and a really good gesture from all these tournaments that bring in the young kids to encourage them to play chess and to make the first move. It's pretty amazing. You have another picture here of Maxime, and here you have Magnus Carlsen, a pretty amazing picture. You also have a cameraman that is videotaping this entire sequence. So thank you so much for all your efforts for the entire camera crew. And this is just a question and answer session that is going on afterwards. And again, this is something fun. I just thought that it was a funny picture. So I just decided to show it to you guys. And that's all the pictures that I have. So let's get back into the game. We have Levon Aronian with the black pieces and Ding Liren with the white pieces. D4 is an opening that is chosen by Ding. And we simply get knight to f6. We have c4 and now e6. You have knight to c3, bishop to b4, e3 and castles. Levon Aronian castles pretty early into the game, and this is the Nimzo-Indian defense. After the bishop to b4 move, it becomes the Nimzo-Indian defense. So you have knight to f3 and now c5, a pretty interesting move, immediately contesting the center. You have a bishop to d3, developing the bishop first. Now you can easily castle anytime you want, so it's a completely fine position. And now c takes d4. You have e takes d4, and this is pretty simple. Usually you exchange off your c pawn for the e pawn, and now white will usually have an isolated pawn here on the d file. Once the game goes on and you have another pawn here to d5, then you're going to trade off these pawns, and both players will have an isolated pawn on the d file. So you have d5, and usually that's not really what grandmasters play. They prefer to castle here in this position, play h3, and then have a wonderful game. Even the bishop to g5 can be played, so it's completely fine. But you have c takes d5, and this is the first surprise for Aronian, as like I said, grandmasters don't really go for this variation. But nonetheless, you have e takes d5, and another option is to capture with your knight, which is also completely fine. I mean, after you get knight captures d5, you have castles, then you have knight to c6, bishop to c2, retreating with the bishop. You want to put your queen and then try to go for a checkmating idea. Of course, bishop to e7 is played, and not really letting go of any initiative. You have queen to d3, again going for this checkmate idea, but now you simply have g6. You have to play this move. You have a3, and now knight takes c3, b takes c3, and now b6, a completely fine position with a slight advantage for white. But e takes d5 is played, and now we have castles by white. Finally, white castles, and an ideal position in this particular position, an ideal move would be to move your pawn forward, have your bishop develop, and have a wonderful game for white. So we have bishop to g4, and we have h3, now kicking away the bishop immediately, and you have bishop to h5. And in this position, it would have been better if white would have simply developed the bishop. But in this position, g4 is played, as a lot of players that are below 1500 rating usually will play such moves, and it's not really good to play this move, mainly because first of all you weaken your king side. That's first, and the second thing is now the bishop is going to this g6 square, and then you simply gonna get bishop captures g6, or this bishop is going to capture your bishop, and black will be completely fine, because this light square bishop for black is a weaker piece in this game. See, once this piece is stuck here, then there is nothing much you can do, and if you try to get out of the way, then this bishop controls this nice diagonal, which you don't really want to happen. So this g4 move is not really something grandmasters prefer, and in the post-match interview, that's exactly what Ding said, that he was probably too ambitious, because now what followed is simply bishop to g6. Now this bishop is these two bishops are staring at each other, and there is no point in moving this bishop anyway other than any of these squares, because there is no point in moving, because then this bishop will nicely capture this diagonal and it will be all over. So you have knight to e2, not immediately capturing, saying, okay, if Aronian wants to capture my bishop, fine, I will develop my queen as well, it's a free move, why not? So just moving the knight away, and now not allowing this bishop to capture the knight. Now you have knight to c6, and by the way, this knight move was novelty, which means that this position has never been reached before, and from here on it's a completely new game. We have bishop to g5, now pinning this knight, and simply rook to e8. You have bishop takes g6, h takes g6, and now rook to c1. And this is a pretty completely fine position, because later on in the game this rook can definitely come to this e file, double rooks on the e file. But one of these rooks can also go to the h file, because it is semi-open right now, and you can nicely attack this h3 pawn, and you have to play king to g2 or king to h2 in order to defend this pawn, which is why it's not really preferred to push this g pawn all the way forward to g4, unless in some particular positions. In this game it was not really a good move, but anyways, it's not a blunder, it's not a mistake, it's just something that you have to be careful about. So we have queen to d7, and again, while black is completely fine in this position, you have bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and simply queen to d3, developing the queen. Finally, you have rook to e4. A pretty interesting move, because now you get knight to g3 and you are attacking this bishop, and this is the first critical moment of the game. So I would like to request you to pause the video and try to find the correct combination for black that gives black a slight advantage. Of course, Aronian was not able to find it, because he was not really feeling good, so he is just going through the motion, playing the games to the best of his abilities. And he just simply retreated his rook, and his rook went to e7. But that is an okay move. It's not a blunder, it's not a mistake. But there is an interesting move that I'm going to show you now, which is what I asked you to find in this position. So if any one of you found it, you guys are really amazing. It's pretty awesome that you were able to find, so congratulations for that. You can definitely play some Grandmaster games and go for some wins. So the move to find was rook a to e8. Now what is the idea behind this rook move, and why are you not really defending this rook from knight's attack? Because you want this knight to capture, and once the knight captures, you're not going to capture it with your rook. You're simply going to capture it with your pawn, and now your pawn is attacking the queen and it's attacking the knight. But let me tell you, even in this position, it's not real complete advantage for black or anything, because you can simply play queen to c4. And by playing this move, you will simply get e takes f3, but there is an alternative which is even better. You have to play bishop to d6. This is what you have to calculate, and now you get d5, pushing the pawn forward, attacking the knight. You have knight to a5, attacking the queen, and you simply get queen to c3. Now you have e takes f3 finally, and then queen will capture on a5. You have e takes f3 first, and then queen captures a5. Now you have rook to e4, bringing the second rook into the game, and you simply get king to h1. You have rook takes g4, and again this is not a blunder or anything, because you have to play queen to c3. If not, this queen will nicely come into the game, and there is nothing that you can do to stop the checkmate here on g2. So pretty wonderful position. Back in this position, actually back in this position, without moving the rook back, you had to find the move rook to e8, and it would be completely fine position for black. So if any of you found it, because this was pretty difficult to find, congratulations, you guys are amazing. But nonetheless, in the game, rook to e7 was played, and after that we have a3, simply pushing this bishop back, and now you get bishop to d6. And a better move than bishop to d6 was moving the bishop to a5, because after you push this b pawn forward, you will then get this bishop moves to b6, and from here you will be attacking this lonely pawn here on d4. You are also attacking with the knight. You can definitely push this pawn forward, bring the queen into the game, and also attack this pawn again. There are a lot of variations from where you could attack. You could again bring this rook here, you could push this rook back and nicely defend and go for the same variation. So a pretty amazing and wonderful position. But again, Aronian couldn't really find that perfect combination, probably because of his health reasons. He's not 100% into the game. But nonetheless, we have rook f to e1, and now you have rook takes e1, rook takes e1. And Ding in the post-match interview said that his position was slightly worse, but it was completely fine. I mean, he was not really worried about anything. You have king to g7, nicely defending this pawn, which was, it's not really attack, but why to wait for a pawn to be attacked when you can nicely defend it? And also now this rook can come to this c file, this e file, or this h file. That's not the h file, this is the h file, and also attack this backward pawn. So a wonderful move, this, moving the king, mainly for the preparation. So you have king to g2, and now knight to d8. You get knight to e2, and now knight to e6. And this is a wonderful knight move from here to here. Now you are again attacking this piece, but you're also controlling this wonderful square. So if in any case, if this knight moves from here, you're going to put a knight here on f4 and simply fork this queen and the king, and you will definitely gain a queen. So you have knight to d2. Now you cannot really move this knight from here. You have rook to h8. Again, this idea of going after this pawn, it's not really a great idea in this position, mainly because the king is nicely defending this. What would have been better is rook to c8, and this would have been pretty amazing, because after knight to b1, you are definitely going to play knight to c3. After rook to c4, you get knight to c3, and now rook takes d4. Boom! Why is this a boom moment? Because again, you cannot really capture, because if you capture, then you're simply going to get the knight check with the fork, and you are going to lose your queen. Again, your rook is attacked. Once you move the rook, then you will get this pawn as will be captured. Again, when you move the rook, your knight will go to safety. You gained a lot of material for literally nothing, and this would be complete disaster for white. So after in this position, rook takes d4, you cannot really capture this rook. What you can play is queen to b5, and now white is winning some material. Because you're going to get queen takes b5, now queen takes, now knight takes the queen here on b5, and you're forking these two pieces. So you have to either move your bishop, and then you're going to get captures, 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 and now takes. So this is complete advantage for for white. Nothing much you can do, and this is completely winning position for white. But back in this position, rook to h8 was played in the game, and this really forces the matters, because after rook to h1 you have to go after defending this pawn. You simply get rook to h4, and here Aronian decides to force the draw, because now you have to play knight to f3, you have to attack the rook. Rook goes back to h8, knight to d2, rook to h4, knight to f3, and you have rook to h8, and this is a draw by threefold repetition. And in the post-match interview, Liren agreed that this position is definitely better for black, and if the situation would have been different, Aronian would have definitely gone for a win, definitely pushed for a win, but he was completely happy with the draw, because he doesn't really want to play long games. He's tired and he has some health issues as well. So nonetheless, a pretty amazing game. Even being down on his health, he played a wonderful attacking game, but eventually it ended up in a draw. Nonetheless, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I want to thank all my subscribers for subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate your support. That's it from the video. Namaste. See you next time.